Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for coming out to 1 Million Cups this morning. My name is Kyle Smith. I'm one of your community organizers, as are Anna, Luke, Zach, and Courtney over yonder. We're very glad you joined us. Can you raise your hand, please, if this is your first time at 1 Million Cups? That's excellent. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. And a very special welcome to Blue Valley West High School students and Lansing High School students. You joined us on Beer Day, so look forward to that in a few years. So the format of 1 Million Cups, you're probably familiar. We'll have two companies up on stage today presenting for about 6 minutes, and then we'll open it up to our expert panel for a few questions, and then it will be your chance to ask questions as well. So next, I will let our expert panelists introduce themselves.
My name is Xander Winkle. I work at the Innovation Center Business Incubator out in Independence. If you are not familiar, or if you want to come out, take a tour, please connect with us on Twitter or on our website. Let me know. I love showing the place off.
Hi, Jim Baxendale. I'm with the UMKC Innovation Center Whiteboard to Boardroom program. If you would, take a look at our site, Whiteboard 2, that's a 2. Boardroom.com. We have partnered with a number of research institutions and hospitals and corporations across Kansas and Missouri, and we make the innovations available to you to license, to start new companies or license into your established companies. So please take a look at our website. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you both. I will now welcome to the stage Colin with Draft Pack.
Hello. Oh, good morning. So my name is Colin Elwell, and I am with Draft Pack. Appreciate you being here and the opportunity to speak, especially to a bunch of high school kids. So just keep this in mind a few years from now. Now, somebody told me this morning that previous groups had brought samples, and that I guess I should have thought of that, but we'll make do either way. So I am from Lawrence, Kansas. I have been developing a product, which is the Draft Pack, over the last about year and a half, and just in the last couple months finally been able to kind of put it out to the public. So now every new product starts with the problem you're trying to solve, and for me that problem was finding a better way to serve cold beer from a keg quickly and easily. Now that may sound like a trivial problem and something that you guys don't struggle with on a daily basis, but the reality is there's a lot of industries that make revenue from beer sales. And so having the flexibility to set up in a location that is not a traditional location, so without a beer cooler or fridge, if you want to set up a keg and have cold beer, there's only a few ways to do that currently. And one of those ways is a trash can and ice. If you've ever been to a party in college, you might have experienced this. Or a lot of people in the beverage industry might use a jockey box, and that's basically a cooler with a coil inside and ice surrounding that coil. There's usually a CO2 tank sitting next to it, and basically that whole setup allows somebody to set up a kind of a portable bar. The problem with that is a trash can, it's trashy, and that setup, the jockey box, it takes up a lot of room. It's a hard thing to kind of transport, and it doesn't look great with all the hoses and the tanks sitting there. So what I've developed is the Draft Pack. It's basically an all-in-one device that has everything you need inside of it, including the coil and a CO2 tank, so that basically you can take the Draft Pack, set it on the top of a keg, and be able to serve cold beer within a few minutes. So kind of a closer look at what's inside the Draft Pack. Basically, that same concept that's in the jockey box, it has a stainless steel coil that's 50 feet long, a CO2 tank so you don't have to do any kind of pumping of the keg, and as the beer travels, it goes straight from the keg through the Draft Pack, through that ice down coil, and out the tap. And again, it mounts directly to the keg, which is really what's unique about this product. Now, what makes it better than what we have now? Basically, it's easy to use. You don't have to be an expert to set it up. It's all in one, so it's really portable. It works with room temperature kegs. So what I mean by that is you don't have to have a keg that is already cold for this to basically work quickly and serve cold beer. You can take a keg that's 70 degrees, that's right outside, say it was in your living room, and set this up, and within a couple of minutes, you can enjoy beer that's about 39 degrees. So once it's set up, it's the perfect height. It mounts right on top of the keg, so it's not going to take up any more space than the keg itself. So it's got a streamlined appearance, it's perfect height, and because it's self-contained, it's just really simple and kind of good for a lot of different situations. So a quick demonstration, if I can play this video. Maybe. Sorry. If there's a play button. All right. We're going to do a quick demonstration to show you how easy it is to set the draft pack up on this room temperature keg and basically be able to have cold beer within a couple minutes. So I've got it tightened on the top of the keg, and we're going to add the CO2 tank. Now the CO2 tank has a quick connect, so basically we just make sure the gas is connected and we turn it on. At that point, we're ready to add the ice. I use about 10 pounds of ice and then enough water. A little disconnected to come up to the top of the coil. No mess. We put the lid on, and at this point, we've got the draft pack ready to serve a cold beer. So we got 68-degree keg, and when we pour a beer, we're going to see what the temperature of the beer that we're pouring is. Perfect. We'll get there. Yeah. So, great video, right? The reality is, what I'm trying to show is essentially how easy it is to set up, and the fact that keg right there, the beer inside the keg's 68 degrees, and within a matter of just a couple minutes, you're able to set this up, and the beer that comes out's 39 degrees. So again, I didn't invent the idea of the cooling beer down with the coil, but what's really unique about this product is the ease of it and the fact that it mounts right on top of the keg. So as a business, where we are now, and again, I should explain, the business is me. I created this in my garage. I have a full-time job, I have a baby, I have a life, but this was something that I had an idea for and really have tried to get it the whole way through, and we're gonna be basically releasing it for sale by the end of the year. So this is the draft pack. It's something I can build. I've been building them in my garage, and I'm actually gonna start scaling up production, but it's a replicable product that works. Getting ready for a Kickstarter campaign by the end of the year, and then again having it for sale by the end of the year. So right now, working to get the word out and bring awareness to the project and the product. And then, as I said, I'm scaling up. I'm moving out of my garage and into my mom's garage. So she has a two-story garage. So I've got a little workspace now, and my wife is going to be very happy to get me out of the kitchen. This is a couple images just basically showing what the draft pack looks like with some of the different kind of variations we've made for it. And then this is a little timeline because that's how old my daughter was when I started, and she's almost 2 now. And then last slide, on the lookout for, basically what I'm after are people that know more than I do, which is really a lot of people. So there are, I need help with component sourcing, people that have experience with Kickstarter, people that know people in the industry or in the beverage industry or hospitality industry themselves. And this is an easy one, except for you high school kids, people to test it and give feedback. So questions, I guess.
All right, we're going to open it. Let's hear it for Colin.
Oh, thank you.
And don't forget to download the 1 Million Cups app and check in. You can rate Colin after this is over, but we're going to open it up to our expert panel.
First of all, this is a lot of fun. I can totally help with that last part. Just, hit me up on Twitter. My first question is the finances. What kind of profit are you looking at? How many units would you have to move? And can you reasonably manufacture those components in the combination of you and your mother's garages?
Sure. So quite a few questions. As far as finances, I've basically done this myself. I had a little bit of financial help from somebody, basically a small loan. As far as the product themselves and being profitable moving forward, I'll be profitable really essentially with the first few I sell, which will be very nice. And the reality is my cost is really high because I'm building it out of, I'm basically building one at a time at this point. But moving forward, I will be able to build like 100 a month myself. And this is a new product for me. It's a new product kind of to bring to the market. I don't have a lot of experience with any of this besides the drinking of the beer part. So I think that, that's why I'm kind of putting myself out there to hopefully meet some people that can help.
Yeah, I have a couple questions here. In terms of customer discovery, what have some of the potential users that you've listed? Have you talked with them and got some feedback from them on their interest in using this?
Yeah, so the jockey box setup that I kind of showed at the beginning, that is something that this directly replaces and improves upon. People that are in the industry, meaning like beverage, like beer distributors, I've met with quite a few of them and had at least kind of confirmation that they would like to purchase, some. But those are the connections I'm ongoing trying to make. There are quite a few other, industries and businesses that this can be beneficial for. We've used it quite a few times. So again, I'm from Lawrence, and whether it's at a golf course wanting to have a couple for events that they throw where they can set it up, at a hole. Just the ease and the fact that this, is so easy to store and then set up whenever you need it. I think there's quite a few industries and just individuals in general that will benefit from having something like this.
One other question. In terms of intellectual property, you just mentioned that the technology here or the one you showed on the table was not too much different than what you have here. Are there any concerns by your patent attorney that a lot of this is already out there in the marketplace? You've combined things, obviously, but do you think there'll be any issues with patent going forward?
We will find out. And that is something, that process is so slow that it's not like you get to just send it, through an email and get a response the next day. So that's an ongoing process for us. But my hope and, our belief is basically the integration of the fact that it couples directly to the keg through, that means is what's going to be able to be protected.
And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask too, because the coil is not something that you can protect, but you did say on your website that there is a patent pending on some part of the device.
Yeah.
So you've gone through that. My other question is, are you connected with any, like the Inventors Club or any of the other associations of folks who are just like you? They're really creative, really smart folks that can make a thing. But they get together and help each other out with the business components, which is exactly what you're asking for. Have you reached out to any of those organizations?
That's something I'm ongoing. And as I said, I just finished basically creating it a couple months ago. And so that's kind of something that that's kind of why I'm here too, is to make those connections and hope that I get to meet some of those people.
Right, fantastic. And have you also connected with any of the potential liquor store managers, or because I feel like that's where your market really is for the same reason that I don't own a tap for a keg. I probably wouldn't own this, but I would totally rent it along with all the other components. I think that would be a great just time to start talking to humans.
Yep, and I feel like a vacuum salesman. I literally just take this around town and go to businesses and I say, here's what I'm doing, can I have some feedback? And I've gotten really good feedback when it comes to kind of obviously future sales and kind of the benefit for those businesses. And as you said, it's not necessarily something that I envision every individual needing and wanting to pay for, but I think there are a lot of individuals that, I mean, whether it's people that like tailgating or just entertaining at their house and have the means to kind of basically afford this and set it up when they need to. So, yeah.
Do you have a pricing schedule set up for this?
I do not have a definitive price. It will likely be around $350. Which sounds like a lot, and the reality is that is a lot of money. At the same time, there's quite a few businesses that can make that back in one event where they can set up at an additional location and have additional sales. That and the components are expensive, and that's why the comparable products with like the Jockey Box are even more expensive a lot of times.
All right, we're going to open it up to you guys. Let's see those hands if you have any questions. First one, here you go.
So are you looking for parts providers? Like maybe you mentioned you'd need CO2 cans. Do you include that as part of your kit?
The only thing that I'm not including is that tank, but the regulator and essentially every other component's included. The CO2 tanks themselves, you can't ship them full, and so that's one piece that I'm basically going to leave up to the buyer because they have to go buy a full tank anyway. But every other component, yes, I'm looking for cheaper, not cheaper, but more economical, let's say that.
Question in the front.
Has your temperature testing crossed the gamut of a 95-degree weather day versus, say, a 40, and does that temperature stay consistent if the beer in the keg is, you know, as hot as it is outside, for example? What's the range of tolerance of how cold the beer is going through your car?
So I guess the most extreme test I've done would be around 80 degrees, and you're hopefully not going to be in that situation where you're starting with something that's 80 degrees, but it will work. A big obstacle when it comes to warm beer is foamy beer, and this is that's obviously something that I've worked to make sure that we're not in a situation where you're going to be having, you know, just because it's warm outside or the keg gets warm, that it's going to be a lot of foam. So we're trying to make sure that we consistently pour, you know, good beer and that it's cold. And as far as 80 degrees, that's about the extreme that I've kind of tested at and been successful. A keg has so much volume inside that if you start with anything that's at least somewhat cold or even room temperature, it does take a while for that all to warm up.
Question back here to your left.
So I love the product, of course. What's the barrier to entry of someone putting the device underneath the keg and just ripping off your idea?
Well, I guess with your specific example, I'm not sure how they would put it underneath the keg, but I guess you could turn the whole keg around. There are other ways you could, I guess, in theory, do this, but again, part of the uniqueness of this is the fact that it's all self-contained and that it mounts straight on top of the keg. To answer your question, I guess I don't know what that barrier would be for somebody to do something under the keg.
Question in the center.
Can you go back to your slide of what you're looking for?
Yeah, of course.
And then on the Kickstarter campaign, I don't know if that's this, but there'll be, you definitely do need to get with some people who've had some experience with this. A lot of people in the Invention Club have, because there'll be certain benchmarks you want to make, certain prep you want to do. Do you know anyone, or have you looked at, taken a class on?
I've tried to do, yeah, I try to do research, but I'm 100% open to meeting more people that have more ideas. I realize that is a preparation intensive process, and that's something kind of that we're trying to work on right now. But again, always wanting to meet more people that kind of have that experience.
Yeah. Yeah, the Invention Club is really good for that.
Okay.
Back here to your left.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much a CO2 canister costs, but how many would you need to go through 2 kegs a night or 3 kegs? How many canisters are going to need?
Sure. So, for example, like in this is a This is a 2.5 pound tank, and the regulator would come with it. But that 2.5 pound tank, it's only going to cost you about $10 to refill at the local gas supply store, and that tank would probably do about 4 full-size kegs, like the half barrels. 5 pound tank, which also would work, would do double that, so maybe 7 or 8.
Question in the front.
So I am familiar with the jockey box. I didn't know that's what it was called. But is there really no competitive device that integrates everything into one unit like this?
Correct, yeah. There isn't anything that is portable in this sense. So, I mean, you have obviously devices that are electrical, so I mean kegerators and those types of things. But when it comes down to, if you looked online, you will find maybe a picture. This, no surprise, this was an igloo cooler, but you'll see the same type of 5-gallon cooler, and it may look similar. It may have a tap on it, but the reality is they also are just running hoses just like a jockey box into that cooler, not having the integration of the coupler into the bottom. So I haven't seen anything that actually has the integration of the coupler into it.
So I don't know what your background is other than being a beer drinker, but the first perhaps expert you might want to talk to is a mechanical engineer, because I suspect that a lot of your costs can be greatly improved. So just a suggestion.
Sure. Well, thank you. I hope so.
Back here to your right.
Uh-huh.
So have you explored looking into the college market and maybe bringing this to a fraternity or sorority, put their, Greek letters on there and use it for their events?
Sure. Of course, I've thought about that. I would love that to be a market that I don't have to explicitly market to. For obvious reasons, I want this to still be kind of a utility that can be used kind of in the business world, and I hope they buy them and they can do what they want as far as the lettering. When it comes to the maybe collegiate or professional licensing kind of for actual covers, that's something obviously I've thought about. I went to my local university and they didn't like the idea so much, but that's probably because I was very, very new into this, and anything with beer kind of scares some people. But
Question front left.
Hi, Colin.
Hi.
I see this less of a mechanical engineering problem. You have something that's manufacturable, and with volume, your costs will come down. You could even eventually, hate to say it, outsource a lot of production of these individual components outside the United States and get a lower cost, or even find good vendors in the United States and do that. This is, as I see it, a marketing problem. Why you don't have a trailer full of 20 of them at a time, and either you or someone you trust hit the road to every fraternity within 500 miles, every golf course within 500 miles, every catering vendor who does lawn parties within 500 miles, and set the price where you can make $100, $150 a unit and get out there and sell them. Then you can tackle the volume costing problem that you're going to have, because you can't get a volume discount from Igloo buying 15 of these, but you can if you buy 1,500 of them. Same thing with manufacturing that coil. I don't know what it's made out of, stainless steel or whatever. Those component costs can come down at volumes, in the 2,000-3,000 quantity, but that's got to be your target. You got to have, in fact, you might have to be zero profit for the first 3,000 or 4,000 of them, so that you can get the manufacturing costs, and then find channels, distributors, where you can sell 8,000, 10,000 on a purchase order.
No, I appreciate that thought, and that definitely makes sense. And it's kind of the direction we're trying to go now, is basically getting some inventory built up so that we have the opportunity to get it in the hands of people. And whether it's a sale or just at the very least kind of having the different people in different industries test it out and give me feedback. So, being 2 months into essentially even telling anyone besides my wife about it, we're obviously evolving kind of constantly and growing, every week. So.
Question in the back.
Uh-huh.
Do you consider bringing this to some of the craft beer festivals around Kansas City?
That's kind of a great market, and that's something I hope to do. I've tried to, as time has gone on, just at least introduce it to local breweries and see if they might, start using it at events they have so that they're kind of aware of it and hopefully bring some awareness to other people. But those, those craft brew events, they struggle with those other setups, and I went to one actually about a month ago, and actually had somebody use it because their own setup wasn't working. And so it's just obvious to me that there's kind of a big market for people that are kind of struggling with essentially outdated, I guess, technology.
Back here, you're right.
Have you thought about, because I know some people will be like, yeah, I'd like, there's a good long-term investment, but some people are just like, well, I just need it for this party or whatever. Have you thought about renting units as well?
That's something that I've struggled with kind of, I haven't done that. I've loaned it to a lot of people at this point just to kind of obviously get the exposure. But when it comes to renting, I guess I would have to kind of have that make sense when it comes to like a $350 deposit versus the traditional like hand pump being maybe they take a $50 deposit at the liquor store, but that's only a $15 piece for them to buy in the first place. So when it comes to a $350 value, I just have to make those numbers make sense and have a process for basically making sure that if somebody walked away with it, that I'm not out that entire amount.
So I have to say, as a person who set up 1 million kegs and jockey boxes and the beer sweating all over the place through the trash cans, I think it's a genius idea. But I kind of agree with Steve. It seems like more of a marketing thing. You definitely got to get out there and get selling. There's all seasons. There's all the breweries that give these out when you get their kegs. So definitely get out there and hit the road. But how can we as a community help you?
Oh, if anybody wants to pass along, I appreciate all the feedback and just any specific, names or people that, again, that know more than I do, because somebody asked, I am I'm an education major and I'm an insurance agent and a beer drinker. That's my background, and so obviously I'm a tinkerer and I like building things, and I hate to say it, I would love this to be my full-time job. I love my insurance agency, but this is something that, is obviously a passion of mine. So anybody that knows, has those connections, would love to talk to them. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Colin. Great job. And Colin was recognized as one of the top 15 finalists in our 1 in a Million competition. So let's give him an extra round of applause. And now we're going to do some quick announcements here while our man Aaron gets set up. So on the back of these beautiful sheets, you can find announcements on the back here. And while you peruse those, I'd like to welcome up Nathan from the Kauffman Foundation. He's going to speak with us about Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. Who here has heard of Global Entrepreneurship Week? All right. It's in its 9th year now. It's a week-long celebration of entrepreneurs, and in fact, we have so many events that they don't fit in the week. So on the back of your sheet, you'll see a URL to go and look at all the cast of events. It started by the Kauffman Foundation and the UK government 9 years ago. It's now in 160 countries around the world. There'll be hundreds of thousands of participants. And I invite you guys to check out the local events going on in Kansas City. There's coffee meetups Monday morning. There's events all throughout the week. I'll also highlight, we're bringing in a documentary. It's called Generation Startup, and it follows the lives of Venture for America fellows. If you're in college, thinking about entrepreneurship as a career, I encourage you to check that out. But everyone's invited. The foundation's going to host food and drinks, show the Generation Startup video, and then have a panel discussion with the participants. There's also a multicultural happy hour Monday night. Check it out. Back of your announcement sheet has the link. Thanks.
Thank you, Nathan. And Morgan and Rebecca, come on up, ladies. More announcements coming at you.
Thanks. Hello, I am Morgan Perry from Mid-Continent Public Library, and this is Rebecca Goebbels from the UMKC Small Business and Technology Development Center, and we are here to talk to you about Blondie, the Rolling Stones. What do they have in common? amazing frontmen. Blondie is synonymous with Debbie Harry. Do you have a frontman? Are you the frontman? If you don't sell, you don't eat. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of time for toasting marshmallows and sitting in a circle and talking about how wonderful sales are. I need to know how to do sales. So if that sounds like you, please join us Friday morning. We're going to kick it off with a sales workshop panel from Danny O'Neill, Dan Stulp, Ann Cole, and Rebecca.
So our morning's panel has a grouping of somebody who's moved a physical product, a non-tangible service, as well as sold investors. So a way to have a deep conversation about how sales impacts actually making some money, because to Morgan's point, nobody eats until somebody sells something. Once the panel concludes, we're doing breakout sessions, one on prospecting in your natural market, one on social media for sales, not high fives, sales, and also sales accountability using metrics on your sales funnel. And then after all of that, the magical librarian, Morgan Perry, will join us to talk specifically about how the library has free information to help small businesses figure out who their prospects are, research them, and build compact, usable sales lists. And so all of that is available to you this Friday, 8:30 a.m., bargain price of free, registration information on your deal WAP, on your sheet. Yeah. All right, go team.
Thanks.
Thank you, ladies. And bargain price of free, sign me up. That sounds fantastic. Alrighty, so before we introduce Aaron, really quick, the UMKC Entrepreneur of the Year event is gonna be next Thursday, November 10th. It's a great opportunity to meet some of the most successful entrepreneurs across Kansas City. Would love to see you there. Check out the information on the back here to register for those events, and discounted tickets if you're under 35, like me, right? See you there, Zach? Perfect. Let's welcome Aaron with Hexcup.
Thank you. We're good. Well, good morning. Thanks to the Kauffman Foundation for coming up with the 1 million cups, and the community for doing this every week. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Aaron Atterbury, and I am one of 2 people who invented the Hexcup. So I am a mechanical engineer. Went to school down at the University of Missouri Rolla. And then I met my partner, Alex Heimsoth, or William is his first name, also down at Rolla. We were fraternity brothers in this fraternity here. Hexcup started out at this fraternity in Rolla. As you can imagine, we're sitting around playing beer pong, and we thought, as a couple mechanical engineers, how can we make this game better? So we're in the basement of this building, and we decided it's the cup, right? The game itself there's nothing wrong with the game or the rules or how it's played, but it's the components that you use, the cup. So you could probably imagine that the cup's been the same ever since they came out with the cup, and you're right. And we probably think that happens in Washington still today, actually. So how is beer pong played? It doesn't have to be with beer. You could put Kool-Aid in there and play. It's just a tabletop game, right? It could be Scrabble. You can drink beer while playing Scrabble. 10 cups on either side, 2 people on either side, and you throw the ball. You can play one-on-one. And then you have to make it in your opponent's cups. The first person to eliminate the opponent's cups wins. If you make the cup, they move it off to the side. Nothing's wrong with that. So we attack the cup. And why is the cup better? The cup is better, one, we changed the shape to be a hexagon. You can see here with round cups that there tends to be an issue with the way they fit together. There's wasted space in between that rack, and it always takes a while to realign them. The lips hop on top of each other. There's just kind of, if you're a perfectionist, you're constantly telling them to adjust the cups or the rack. The second piece is, since the lips do hop on top of each other, and when you throw the ball and it hits the cups, they tend to move individually. They don't stay together as a unit. With the surface area that the hexagon provides, you get a little bit more friction between the cups, and the cups tend to stay put. But not always. So we decided to change the bottom of the cup. What happens when the table gets wet? That surface tension creates, your cup gets wet, and then it decides to ghost, is the term that we use. So we designed the bottom to break that surface tension, and a hex cup stays where you put it. Also, what's the other problem with regular plastic cups? They're weak, right? Someone's going to flip a table in the middle of your game because they got angry because they lost, and you crush half of your cups. You only bought a pack of 50, and we've already gone through 30. Now you're out and you can't play. So we made Hexcup out of a different plastic. What happens in this picture is the water actually vacates the cup, creating suction, and it claps the cup on itself. The Hexcup stays put. We drove a car over our cup down at KC Beer Co., and it actually stayed together. You can crack them if you go after them pretty hard. They are dishwasher safe, at least in the top rack. All right, so 2009 was the idea. We didn't really do anything with it. Then we were floating down at Table Rock Lake at a buddy's bachelor party, and they challenged us to actually do something with the idea in 2014. Let's make an LLC. So Missouri, we're an LLC in Missouri, actually in Sedalia, which is where my business partner lives today. His wife is our CPA. She's a CPA, which is quite nice. We don't have to pay an accountant. Just make sure I bring her cookies when I go see her. So that's where the business is housed. So the engineering started. We made the startup, and then we went through the engineering, iterations of the cup. We think we went through 3 different iterations. Here's the first one, hexagon extruded, right? Pretty simple. Then how do you change the bottom shape, and then how do you make it look like a cup? It needs to look and feel like a standard red cup. So 3 iterations, and then we got it 3D printed, and the only thing that changed from this model is the lip. That's very important when you're thermoforming plastic. How do you eject it out of the mold? You have to have relief on that piece of plastic. What's the investment that we made? Well, we knew we had a good idea and a good product, but we needed to get started. So we bootstrapped it. We each kicked in several $1,000s and bought an aluminum mold. Ideally, you want some nice stainless steel from Switzerland, but that is China aluminum. And we also got a video made because we needed to get our idea out into the marketplace. We also made sure that we protected ourselves before we did that. 2 patents in America, 1 patent in China, trademark on the word Hexcup, and then copyright on all the images in the video that we did. That costs money. And like Colin said, the patent process takes a long time. Our patents were just issued on October 18th, so we are US patent owners. Thank you. We didn't have to go back at all. It all just came through, which is great. So the market, I was talking to someone earlier, and really anyone can play beer pong, but there are definitely others who prefer to enjoy it and play it a lot better. So our target market is 21 to 28, but if you fill it up with Kool-Aid, you can play when you're 13. I don't care. Attend social gatherings with peer, and then shopping online or in retail stores. The product itself is 22 cups, comes with 3 ping pong balls, and we put it in a premium plastic box because it is a novelty gift set. We're trying to make it look a little bit better. And they're reusable, right? Don't throw these away, keep them forever. Only if we had enough money to do this. So we started out with crowdfunding. We went on Kickstarter, which was a heck of a learning curve. 60-day campaign, day 1, our friends and family gave us about $4,000. Thank you, that's great. The next 15 days were terrible. Every day I'm checking it, nothing was happening. Then we went viral on the internet, luckily. Took off, we were making $7,000 a day, which was just super exciting, hundreds of emails. Social media exposure, this post right here got shared 100,000 times, but 10 million views. Another video that went viral, 7.2 million, I think it's 9.1 right now. All the blogs that started to blog about it, this is just a short list. The big ones there at the top. We're on the front page of Reddit all day on January 18th, so front page of the internet, that's pretty exciting. Market response, 216% of our goal. We raised $108,000. I'm moving fast now because I'm out of time. Most of that came from Kickstarter. If we look at where the conversions actually happened, they happened on the Kickstarter page. People going to Kickstarter and then finding our idea. Here's where we sold cups everywhere inside the world. This actual circle for North America is like 4 times that size. I just needed to shrink it to show you the rest of the world. Definitely in a consumer market. Reward Fulfillment Center in Arkansas. So we package our cups there and they send them out for us because I could not send out 5,000 of these units from my garage. My wife would kill me. Post Kickstarter, what are we doing now? That ended in February, 11 months ago. This is when we launched the campaign. Where we are today, we've got a tent. We try to go to events and talk to the people who use our cups just to really get a feel for what they like. We're on Amazon and then on our website as well. And now we're really pushing the wholesale model to try to get into retail stores. We are in 1 retail store, Spencer's Gifts, and then we're still trying to scale from that. How do we get into convenience stores and corner liquor stores? Our wow moments, awesome support from our friends and family. Without Kickstarter, without that community, we wouldn't be here today, without at least probably selling a portion of our idea to venture capital. Country music stars, that's Dirk Bentley. We got to give our cups to at the Country Stampede in Manhattan, Kansas. That was fun. We got on TV. Lindsay Shively from 41 Action reached out to us, and we went on there and got to play beer pong in their studio. And then our first retail purchase order, seeing that first one come in, you're just like, wow, that's awesome. It keeps you going until the next one, and we've had 3 since then. So what's next? Expand that wholesale, like I said, larger retail market, and then we need to scale the business and cash flow accordingly. I did not realize how much of an issue cash flow was for small people, but oh my goodness, that is tough. But we're getting there. We are on our road to 1 million cups. We're only about 336,000 so far. So. Questions?
All right, let's open it up to the expert panel.
Well, thanks for doing that. I've had a lot of trouble with this game when playing with my millennial children. Now I'll have half a chance. In terms of the mold, I guess you said aluminum mold at this point. Now, is that going to take you quite a ways out, or what kind of conversion to more stable mold or cost would be involved with something like that?
Good question. Yeah, the aluminum's going to degrade over time, and the quality of the cup will go down. It's good for about 5 million runs, 5 million cups. So it's a 5-pot mold, 1 million cycles on that aluminum mold. We're having an 8-pot mold, so there's 8 cups can come out of 1 cycle time, made out of stainless steel at another manufacturing facility in China. So we're moving operations from that one to a different one, just because we've had some issues working with that supplier. And we need a second source. We've learned that not having a second source of cups really cranks down when people start asking for large purchase orders.
Now, is this just a typical plastic material you're using?
Yep,
like
number 5
cups?
polypropylene.
Yeah, okay.
I won't look at a plastic cup the same way. I'm always looking at the bottom, what's this made out of? So yeah.
First of all, I love the story about the engineering. I love your branding. Like you're wearing branded shirt and pants. Your pants match the company.
I wore these today for this.
That's fantastic. And I will be purchasing these once we leave. But I think it's telling that on your presentation, you mentioned the cash flow at the very end, kind of like an afterthought. And I see this all the time with companies. Have you done some research? I mean, how much margin are you making? How many cups do you have to sell to be sustainable, to give yourself a job with this company? And what's the size of that potential market? Are there enough people out there that will buy this? Just tell me a little bit about the research you've done on that end.
Yeah, good question. So that's tough. To make this sustainable, I don't know how long beer pong is going to be around. So being an engineer, I have a very stable job at Black & Veatch. I love working for that company. This is a side gig, and they allow me to do this. So I don't know if it'll be a full-time gig. I hope it does, maybe just for a little while, or some kind of scale turnover and then a sell-off, right? Solo is really good at making plastic cups. Here you guys go, make more plastic cups and have this at a cost. To make it sustainable, we're there. We've kind of got over that first 2-3 large POs, and we threw in a little bit more money, bootstrapping it to get there. And now the margins are positive because we do have to meet our minimum order quantities. We need to run at least 100,000 cups to keep it cost effective. So we're on the positive side of cash flow now. You could put 15K into a bank and say, hey, let me borrow against that. And then eventually, can you increase my limit? And now I could leverage $40,000 against $15,000. That's still sitting in the bank. As you build credit with the bank, we tried to get a cash flow program with the bank, but we're only in business for 11 months and you're a Kickstarter. No, we're not gonna help you guys out with any credit right now. And we don't want to back it personally. We need to protect our families. So,
can you talk a little bit more about your patent coverage? Just what is it? Is it around the game itself? I'm not sure how you patent the cup or the design of that, or is it a design patent?
It is a design patent. There's 2 design patents in America. The design patent calls out the top hexagon shape and then this spline curve here on the side. The bottom piece and kind of the transition is left with dashed lines to protect us in the event that you decide to change the bottom, because we needed to protect a hexagon cup. So that's how the patent is written, and that's how it was awarded without having to go back. We do have infringers already on the market. I've learned that if you launch your idea on one of these crowdfunding sites, there are people out there that are trolling them, to instantly pick up your idea and run with it. And they will come to market, and they're out there. So one of my asks here later is a patent attorney that is willing to take us into litigation before the payday, because we don't have $80,000 right now to go take these guys to court, and we know we're going to win. But it's a hard balance to play with cash flow and fulfilling orders. So 2 design patents. The word Hexcup is trademarked. People are using those as search terms now, which is unfortunate. So we need to be able to protect that. In America, do whatever you want until you're told by law that you can't. That's what we've learned, and it's frustrating that the integrity of that market is out, failing. So.
But I'm glad that you brought that up. That's a fantastic point, that your IP is as good as your ability to
That's
defend
exactly
it.
right.
Because I did some research. I'm like, who else? I know I've seen other companies that have this out there. But yeah, that's a fantastic point that you brought up. Are you, because I feel this company has 2 ways that you can grow. You can either go the Arm & Hammer like route, that you find another use for this thing that you've patented, that you're opening up a new market, or you're designing new things, and you obviously have exceptional creativity and a lot of skill there. Are you even thinking about where the future of the company, less so the product, is going?
Most definitely. From a product family standpoint, because retailers like to buy a family of products, not a single product, we have an 8-foot table for the purists who want to play with regulation length, and then also a 6.5-foot for your small dorm room folding table. So we have those 2 products. I've learned that my wife loves to buy things miniature, and you've seen the miniature plastic cups out there, so I would love to make these miniature as well. And then where do we go from there? So I've been talking with our local nerds on building a phone app, and I've got the whole spec written and everything for them to interact with this on your phone, kind of a leaderboard. And I'm working to co-develop that with a brewery. Does anyone know a local brewery in town that I could talk to? Yes, okay, great, let's do that. Let's talk some more, because my contact moved companies. So yeah, definitely, how do I create that mobile app to be an ad platform? Because that's really what it's going to be for the company going forward. How do I sell this not to the beer pong market, but to mothers who want a solid cup that when their kid grabs it and does this, they can just pop it back into shape, throw it in the dishwasher, and then keep going. But it doesn't have to be hexagon for that, right?
That's fantastic. And then my other question, are you say you've got your group of nerds, are you connected with like the KC Inventors Club or any other? Because I feel like you bring some experience, and then you could also gain something from some of the other organizations.
Good question. I say nerds because I'm talking about the nerdery, the app development company. I'm not plugged into any of those right now, so not yet. I need to, but man, it's hard to balance a full-time engineering gig and this on the side.
I'm gonna go ahead
and be a husband, right?
Hey, Luke, was that you or was that me? I don't even know. I think that was us.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and open it up to the crowd at this point. If you have any questions out here, go ahead, toss your hand in the air. We'll come out to you.
I got one up front.
All right, I'll go this way.
Hi.
Hi.
Big beer pong fan, so this is really exciting. I think my question for you is, do you want to be a beer pong company or do you want to be a cup company? Because there's different opportunities with that each. And a follow-up question is, on your cups, if you want to be a cup company, you know, the red Solo cups have the ounce lines on them. So really valuable for 8-ounce pours, you know, kind of up and down if you weren't putting beer in, if you wanted this to be the cup of the party. Have you guys thought about integrating those in the next version?
We have talked about putting the pour lines in there. The way that presents a problem for us is on the draft, when you suck the plastic down, if I don't have that relief on the outside, then it has to be on the inside and I can't get my cup out of the mold. But if I'm to put those ounce lines on the outside, then I really have to play with this transition at the hexagon, which does pose a problem. It's hard. We talked about it and we decided to scrap it. But good question, and I think today we want to be a beer pong company.
Question over here to your right in the back.
I'm curious if your cup design has any advantages for those of us who prefer flip cup to beer pong.
That's a great question. Come up here afterwards and let's flip them. They are hard to land. If you catch it on the flat edge, it'll just flip right over. But your round cup does like to roll for you. These will not roll. So you actually have to be better at flip cup. Are you up to the challenge?
So this is like the training cup.
Yeah, this
when
will
you're just-
This will enhance your flip cut skills.
And yeah, weekends, few beers.
I had
it's
no
easier.
many idea we had so many alcoholics in the audience today. We got a cup expert up front here. All right, we got a question back here.
Great day for the high school students.
You talked about your Kickstarter campaign fund and how after 6 months something went viral and it took off. Kind of break that down. What happened? How did it happen? What can we learn from it?
I've learned that the internet is a series of tubes. And you have to trickle something in at top, and you have to wait a while for it to get in the mainstream. We launched. What we didn't do is drum up a lot of followers before we launched. We learned that people launch their idea several months in advance to get that following. Then on day one, when you launch on Kickstarter, you have an influx. And that tells Kickstarter's algorithms, this is awesome because dollar amount backed over time on Kickstarter, that ratio is really high. So then it puts it on their front page and you get even more and more people, then it goes viral. We didn't do it that way, we did it the opposite. We launched it and then tried to drum up interest, which, as you realize, time, your denominator is growing, right? And it's really hard to get those algorithms to pick it up. So we just started emailing bloggers and just talking to anyone and emailing people who had written about previous beer pong Kickstarters, things like that. And then one finally started just taking off the chive. We mailed them a couple cups to Austin, Texas. We're like, here guys, can you write a post? They didn't. Not at least until we went viral, then they did. So it's very much a viral community. If you can get one to fall, they're all gonna fall. And that we just got lucky that Facebook page posted it. It's called Yep, That Exists, that product exists. And once it hit there, then it just, in about 4 days, we were just taking off. So yeah, I don't think it was anything I did, honestly. It's those bloggers and those who control the viral threads of the internet, the Mashables and those types of websites are the ones that control what goes viral.
Question in the back here for you.
Yep.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I have 2 questions for you. Isn't part of the reason of beer pong with the round cups to actually have the challenge of the ball bouncing around? And then the second question is, how do you scale this to a $10 million company?
Great questions, and I have answers for both. Let's back up to the rack space. So the lip to open space ratio on a cup is the same for your round cup. But what we've done is we've eliminated that gap. Now, there are purists out there who love the gap, and they claim that they've seen the ping pong ball land in between the gap. I've never seen that. And those who I've talked to said they've seen it one time. So I'm not too concerned about that gap being wasted. When you do play with it, and I challenge you to play with it, it's actually about, well, Luke's played with them. That's about, there he is. It actually is just as hard, if not harder, to actually hit because you have a decent, you still have that same ratio on the surface area to hit on that lip. Try them out and let me know how you feel. But when you see them, you think, well, that's going to be super easy. I just have to lob it up and it's going to fall in. But in fact, it's about the same. And then how do I scale this to a $10 million company? By year 3, I've got projections to be $4 million. So year 1's over. Top line, $300,000 this year. Year 2 is the convenience store and corner liquor store market. 180,000 doors, convenience stores in America. 120,000 of those actually sell gasoline and beer. If I can get into just 5% of that market in year 2, that makes us a $2 million company. Scaled to 10% of that in year 3 with knocking down European doors. Puts me at $4 million in year 3. I don't know if 10 is possible, but with ad sales on my potential app, I think the beer companies are probably the #1 spender of brand and advertisement. So I hope to get there. We'll see. That's a stretch.
Right here in the middle.
Very nice presentation. A couple questions. First, walk me through the thought process on planned obsolescence, going with a cheaper plastic so they're destroyed, so you keep them coming, so that they're always looking for replacements versus a more durable. And then, do you have your logo and website on the bottom? Because I assume these walk off and further your sales as people go to your website to get a pack.
So to make it a cheaper cup, you're right that the big box stores or the big cup companies are in replacement cups, right? Constantly keep coming back for my product. We we decided to not go that route, at least to start. These will crack after a while. I mean, if you cycle these hard and keep playing with them, then you'll have to come back and buy another set eventually. You know, we could offer a pack of 5 to rebuy. We just wanted to be a premium brand, so we asked for a premium price. And that's why we went with this plastic box. Also, this screams premium. It's not a sleeve of plastic cups you can buy for $3.99 off of Walmart shelf. That's just how we decided to market our product and make ourselves a differentiator. So yeah, there's probably some lost revenue opportunity, or at least reoccurring customers. And then your second question, we do have Hexcup on the bottom, as well as patented with our number on the bottom of the mold. So when they do walk off, hopefully they only have 1 cup, or if they walk off with 10, they need at least 20 to play, or 12 if you play 6 and 6. Does that answer your question?
Question over here to the right.
So I don't play beer pong, but I like your cup, and I drink whiskey. So I think you're limiting your market by just going after the beer pong. I know you said you want to be the beer pong company, but I really think that you should consider maybe, not just selling to that market. There's a ton of people out there. Now, I am going to visit my daughter at college next week, and I might buy some of your cups so that we can play beer pong while I'm visiting her. But I think that you have a lot of opportunities to outmarket people like Solo with your product, because when you're throwing a party, which I throw one every once in a while, it's nice to have your people be able to drink a cup that's not going to fall apart on them while you're at the party.
Yeah, good point. And I think it goes back to, do we want to be a cup company or a beer pong company? And I said beer pong now because cash flow is tight, and that's what is driving this. But if we change this cup to round and use the same type of manufacturing techniques and the same plastic, then you could offer that premium cup to your family. Good thought. Thank you.
All right, the last major question of your 1 million cups career until you get all the way to 1 million. What can we as a community do to help you?
Man, it's like you guys asked me that beforehand or something. I think I have a slide here. So I mentioned a couple of them. How do I find and contact retailers? Spencer's Gifts contacted us in the middle of our Kickstarter campaign. We did nothing to get into that store. So their buyer saw us and asked us. They're a trendy store, so they asked us to. We flew out to Atlantic City and got in with them and struck a deal. And so we're delivering to them FOB. So how do we contact local retailers? Dick's Sporting Goods, those corner liquor stores. So how do I enter that market? But then how do I partner with distributors? Because my small shop in Rogers, Arkansas is not going to be able to ship all of these out. So how can I ship an entire container to a beer distributor who's already shipping their cases to all these stores and just put up the end cap with Hex Cups? Would love to figure out how to do that, how to market the product without breaking the bank. Facebook ads seem to eat through your dollars really fast because I'm not good at it. I don't have the right algorithms, and I'm not the smartest person in the room. So I need to figure out how to market that product well. Proper use of social media. Online sales, that's where my margins are good, but that's not where the volume is. So that's kind of a tug and war. But I would like to boost online sales. And then you see these last 2 bullets here. How to present our product as the original versus the knockoffs, at least until we can sue the knockoffs and get them off of the internet, because they are undercutting us on price. They have a cheaper plastic. We buy their cups. As soon as they come out, we buy that cup and compare it to ours, take pictures, write the cease and desist letter. Some of them stop, others don't. When the ones that don't, that costs us $80,000 to have to go sue them, which we don't have. So are there any lawyers in town, patent lawyers, that are willing to help us protect our idea and then get paid after the fact, because they will owe us litigation costs due to when they infringe on our pending patent at that time? Those are my asks. I've got a pile of cards up here. Come up and play with the cups if you want. I'll hang out here for the next half hour or so.
All right, big round of applause. Thank you, Aaron from Hexcup.
Thanks.
All right, that's it. Next week, we got Crossing Arrows and Job Spectrum, and we'll see you then. Have a great week. Thank you.